Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Salatu Wassalamu alayka, Ya Rasulullah. Today we'll be talking about the family matters. And amongst the family matters, the most crucial one is about the relationship between husband and wife. There are three main surahs in Quran which covers this topic. Surah Nisa. Then we have Surah Talaq, Surah Tahrim, and then Surah Baqarah. I'll start from Surah Nisa, where it talks about Ya ayyuhan nas attaqwa rabbakum allazi khalaqakum min nafsi wahidatun wa khalaqa minha zawjiha wa bassa minhuma rijalun kasirun wa nisa'un wattaqullaha allazi tasa'aluna bihi wal arhama innallaha kana alaykum raqiban. Then it falls that ar-rijalu kawamuna ala-nisa bima fazalullahu ba'zuhum ala ba'zi fabima anfiqu min amwalihim fasalihatu kanitatu hafizatu lighaibi bima hafizallahu. Now coming to the very, very important topic of marriage. What usually happens is for every young man or woman, this is kind of a dream. You know, how my husband is going to be. A very charming, very handsome, a guy with a very good job. The same way, men are also looking for someone who is very wealthy, is very beautiful. But what are the basis? The basis of Islam. In Islam, it says very clearly there could be three reasons that you marry. One could be the wealth, second is the beauty, and then third is taqwa. So the question arises, are we really looking towards taqwa, the third one, while making this very, very important decision of our life? When we talk about the marriages are failing, but are we keeping the basis of the marriage on the strong footing? So whatever we will ask Allah, Allah will give us that. When we talk about we are looking for beauty, we might get the beauty, but we might not be able to get the peace at home. So that's where it comes, that even once the Prophet, peace be upon him, he was sitting with Hazrat Fatima Razillah Anha, and he was telling her that, you know, you and the person sleeping here, Hazrat Ali Razillah Anhu, and your kids, Imam Hassan and Hussain, all of us will be in Jannah. So that was kind of a basharat. Rasulullah gave it to her, his daughter. But before that, before the marriage, when the message came from Hazrat Ali that he wanted to marry Hazrat Fatima Razillah Anhu, the Prophet came to Hazrat Fatima and asked, I received this message, what do you say? It's a very, very big message for all of us, being the parents, being the brothers, that it is the responsibility of the parents or the guardians to ask their kids their will and wish. Whereas the Prophet very clearly mentioned that all his wives, or wherever he married his daughters, the message came from Allah Almighty. So there was no need to ask. But why the Prophet asked? Because that was basically a message for all of us, the Muslims, who will follow the Prophet, peace be upon him, that tomorrow when you marry your daughters, your sons, you should ask their will and wish. What happens is, on one side, there are children who choose at their own without involving the parents. But on the other hand, there are parents who are so strict because of the social norms and cultures, they don't even bother to ask their kids while making these very important decisions of their life. moving on. But then what do? Do we really prepare them for the marriage? Do we give them the teachings, what was taught to us in Quran or through Hadith? I don't recall, when I got married almost 16 years back, I don't remember that either my father or mother took me aside or taught me that how this marriage is going to be. I think we all learn through on-the-job training. But when we want to apply for any UN job or any financial jobs, we do prepare for years and years for these competitive exams. And then we appear for that exam. But for this very important exam, none of us prepare. And then what happens is we learn on the job or through the experience of our parents. That might be good or bad. So whenever we have issues, where do we go back? We talk to our friends, we talk to our parents. But the important thing to note here is, are they referring back to Quran or Hadith? Are they just advising us based on their own knowledge and wisdom? That is something I wanted to highlight here. And I know it's a very lengthy topic. In Quran, the maximum ayah came on the topic is the family matters, other than anything else. Rest, all your relations are permanent. Your father is your father, you cannot change it. Your mother is your mother, your brother is your brother. And this is the relationship which you basically make yourself. Allah has given you the will, wisdom, and the wish, and which depends upon purely on your behavior, about your kindness. How kind, how patient you are, that will determine the length, sustainability, and the success of the married life. So that's what, if we have to see, we have to look upon, we have to understand the dynamics of Quran, what Quran says, and how the Prophet, peace be upon him, basically engaged with his wives, with the people around him. In the past, in the Muslim communities, people used to marry within the cousins. And same was the case when Hazrat Ali married Hazrat Fatima. And once the Prophet, peace be upon him, he came to the house and Fatima was a little angry and upset. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, asked, Fatima, what happened? What's the reason? And the reply was that Ali is angry with me. Prophet did not sit there. He just immediately went chasing Ali where he had gone. And later on he came to know that Ali was lying in the mosque. When Prophet went there, when he asked Ali, he called his name twice and Ali was still lying on the ground. He was not answering to the Prophet. And the Prophet said, Ali, I still love you the same way as I used to love you before you got married, my daughter. And then the Prophet brought Hazrat Ali back home. And now the Prophet was lying in the middle on the bed, and Hazrat Fatima on the right and Hazrat Ali on the left. And then he took hands of both of them and asked them that, will you reconcile for me? And both of them said, yes, we will. And then from there on, the Prophet went out and he met many Sahabas. And the Prophet was very happy, actually. And the Sahaba Kram, they asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, why are you so happy today? What is the good news? He said, I reconciled Ali with Fatima. So what's the message here for us? The role of a father-in-law and father. So he was happy that his daughter has reconciled with her husband. But why the houses are breaking today? The egos. Father-in-law would say that, I am so rich man. I have such and such job. Why should I go to my son-in-law and ask him to reconcile? The wife will keep sitting in his home because his brother has said, no way, you are not going to go. You better stay here. This is for the respect of the family. But these are the social cultures and the norms which are actually spoiling the houses. But who is bigger than the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? He himself went to his son-in-law and brought him back to reconcile. So if he can do it, why can't we? I mean, whenever there are issues, there are problems, there are roles of the elders in the house to play. We'll have to look into it. Are we playing that roles? And we'll get the answers. And then the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the best amongst you is the one who is good to his spouse. And it's vice versa for the women as well. The best amongst the women are those who are good to their husbands. And it comes in Surah Nisa, Hun libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna. That they are basically the clothes for each other. What else can be more than the clothes? Because that is basically give us the protection, the cover, the stability. So we want to be the best speakers, maybe the best child protection officer or wash officer. But are we trying to be the best husbands? And the reward for the best spouse, best husband and best wife, the Prophet has already given. He's the best amongst the ummah, the one who is good towards his spouse. But still, I mean, these days we are seeing that this social media has negatively affected all the society. Husband is busy in his own social media, his friends, and here and there, and then the kids and the wives. We don't have time for each other. I recall when I joined UN back in 2006, then this WhatsApp and these things were not there. Even internet was very limited. I was based in Garowe then. So hardly we could speak, was only through Skype sometimes, or only through the telephones. But now we are connected 24/7, but we still don't have time to talk to our loved ones, to ask them what is going on. And that remembers me last year, one day my wife asked me to go and pick my daughter from the school. And the procedure was that, I had to tell that which class she is. So I recall that she's in year 8, fine, good. But which section of the year 8, frankly speaking, I didn't even know. And I felt ashamed while, the teacher was asking me which section of the year 8. I'm sure this would be the case with many of us. Maintaining the long distance relationships are not easy. And most of us, those who work with the UN, might have experienced one way or the other on different times and occasions that sometimes we are upset on small little things that leads to the bigger problems because we are not close to. We communicate sometimes through the messages. We are thinking and we are sending the messages. The other person responds immediately. We might have sent half message, but we have thought something else. So by the time you receive reply, already your mood is destroyed. Where does it go? And then there is no one to, because you both are adult,